know who she thinks she is, but I do think it might be someone with real power, and it shouldn't be. She wanted her own Hail to the Chief song, and it happened. It's called Fanfare for the First Lady. It's a terrible song. Listen to a little bit of this. The point is her ego. Her ego is out of control.
What happens when the queen of political spin finally loses control? Imagine Hillary Clinton spiraling into a full-blown meltdown after Megyn Kelly drags skeletons straight out of her bursting closet. This isn't just politics anymore. It's a front row seat to a high-speed disaster, popcorn included. Secrets are flying, tempers are exploding, and egos are colliding in the most jaw-dropping way possible. Thought the scandals were over? Think again. This is the sequel nobody expected, and Hillary's rage just became must-watch TV.
Has a very weird and I think shitty marriage. I don't think she has a husband who is in love with her or faithful to her, and I think I can't really blame him because she seems to have accepted this behavior since the inception of their marriage. And so past his prologue, you're going to get what you tolerate. You know, what you permit, you promote. She spent all of her daughter's upbringing away, at work, at the law firm, in the White House, running for office, and Chelsea Clinton is not a nice person.
Before we dive deeper, smash that like button and subscribe. You seriously don't want to miss this one. Hillary Clinton has always moved through politics like a fortress on legs. Stone walls, iron gates, polished windows, and a moat filled with excuses. She built her image to be untouchable. For decades, she strutted through scandal after scandal as if she had immunity from reality itself. Emails, just a technical hiccup, mysterious connections, oh, merely misunderstood networking. Every excuse crafted with perfection, and now it's all catching up to her.
Happening in America. You can feel it. Something we've worked for and dreamed of for a long time. Donald Trump fell asleep at his own trial, and when he woke up, he made his own kind of history, the first person to run for president with 34 felony convictions.
Her entire public image was wrapped in layers of bulletproof spin, like she believed the world would eventually just get tired of asking questions. But surprise, it didn't. Then came Megyn Kelly, the media's human laser beam aimed straight at Hillary's darkest corners. Kelly doesn't toss softballs. She hurls truth grenades. And on this day, she didn't come lightly armed. She brought an entire arsenal ready to explode.
Classified appendix to Durham's report from May of 2023. Let's see. Reveals strong evidence that the FBI covered up a plot by the Hillary Clinton campaign to amplify ties between Trump and Russia. That the FBI covered up the plot. This is the new piece of it that's being dropped today because we knew Hillary did it. And Fox Digital had reported earlier this week that we were going to see this annex and it was going to suggest the FBI knew that she was going to do it and then covered it up. And that's where we're going now with this, that Kash Patel said he found the Durham appendix and thousands of other documents inside a burn bag in a secret room at FBI headquarters.
Hillary was performing her usual act, those polished smiles that looked rehearsed in front of a mirror and talking points smoother than marble. But Megyn Kelly came loaded with receipts. The moment was pure television gold. You could practically hear Hillary's political armor screech as the first cracks began to form. It was the kind of tension that makes you hold your breath because you just know something big is about to break.
Different ball game today than it was even 4 years ago, never mind 8 or 10 years ago when she was doing all this. And back to Hillary, you know, the whole, she has a hat she's tweeted herself out wearing, but her emails. She's tried to turn it into this ridiculous joke, like, oh, but the moon landing, like you nutcases who are still railing about this made up scandal, this thing that, you know, you've used to try to unfairly tar me. She did need to distract from that email scandal.
Megyn didn't just peel back a layer of spin, she ripped it off like duct tape stuck to skin. What she exposed wasn't pretty. Dirty secrets tumbled out, and Hillary's composure collapsed faster than a house of cards in a windstorm. It was like watching someone's carefully built Jenga tower get flicked by the world's most determined toddler. Every secret revealed made the spectacle even more shocking and impossible to look away from.
Should be in jail literally, Hillary Clinton should be behind bars. And so should the people who worked for her who did this. This is so blatantly corrupt. She wanted to distract from her email scandal. She cooked up a plan to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent in order to distract from her own legitimate scandal. She made up a scandal about Trump being a Russian asset.
First, Hillary tried her usual tricks: deflect, dismiss, and dance around the questions like a lawyer in a courtroom drama. But Megyn Kelly wasn't there to play nice. She was the judge, the jury, and the demolition crew all in one. Each fact she dropped landed like a hammer, and then came the explosion. Hillary didn't just lose her cool, she detonated. The once battle-tested woman went nuclear under the studio lights. Her voice tightened, her face flushed crimson, and suddenly she looked less like a polished politician and more like a malfunctioning robot sparking in real time. It was spectacular, like a pressure cooker left too long on high heat, steam bursting out in every direction until a deafening pop left the kitchen in ruins. We're talking about murky business deals that have followed her for years, like storm clouds that never leave. Shady alliances that make you wonder if her schedule was approved by an ethics board or an underground poker club. The kind of details that make ordinary people shake their heads and ask, how did she get away with this for so long?
Speaking of Hillary, her op-ed, which is really pretty spectacular in the New York Times. First of all, my team just showed me this. Have you seen the cover for her new book? It's something lost, something gained. A gamed is with Freudian slip. And I like the amount of retouching on this face I haven't seen since, Joan Rivers had her 15th surgery. God love Joan. I don't know what she's trying to be with this soft focus. My executive producer, Steve Krakauer, is like, she looks nothing like herself.
Megyn laid it all out like a prosecutor building a rock-solid case, and Hillary had nowhere to run. Suddenly, all those perfectly rehearsed lines sounded tired and fake. Every attempt to pivot felt forced, like a comedian bombing on stage and scrambling for a new joke. The angrier she got, the more absurd it became. When most people get called out, they try to stay calm or step back, but not Hillary. She went full supernova, choosing chaos over control, flinging accusations and excuses that landed with zero impact. The more she flailed, the more Megyn tightened her grip, calmly dropping truth after truth, while Hillary's meltdown turned downright cartoonish. Viewers at home were glued to their screens. It felt like the finale of a drama they didn't even know they'd been watching. Social media erupted with memes and GIFs spreading faster than wildfire. One moment Hillary was the untouchable political machine. The next she was trending for all the wrong reasons.
I think really is just sort of getting along based on the family name at this point. And so now she's got a daughter who I guess married a rich guy but is struggling in her own right. Hillary's in a loveless marriage. She probably doesn't have a lot of real friends, just people who are glommers. And so she absolutely does have to write a fifth memoir and go on MSNBC and be told that she's amazing and that she matters.
Here's the delicious twist. Hillary spent her entire career trying to control every story about her. Yet the more she struggled to steer this one, the more it slipped right through her fingers. It was like trying to hold water in a clenched fist. The tighter she gripped, the faster it escaped. By the end, Megyn Kelly stood tall, practically glowing in victory, while Hillary looked like the star of a viral blooper reel gone wrong. But this wasn't just one bad outburst. The secrets that spilled had real consequences. They reopened old wounds, forcing everyone to question Hillary's entire legacy. It was like watching a spotlight slowly turn on, revealing every uncomfortable truth she'd hoped would stay hidden. Her explosion was decades of political spin finally colliding with cold, hard reality. When it was over, Hillary wasn't just humiliated, she was politically shattered. Megyn didn't just win the exchange, she dismantled a myth, giving the world a moment so chaotic, so hilarious, and so revealing that it instantly etched itself into political history.
Dream of going up to her and sitting down next to her, taking her in my arms and saying, "Look at me, listen to me. You will survive. You will have a good family of your own and 3 children. And as hard as it might be to imagine, your daughter will grow up and become the President of the United States. I am as sure of this as anything I have ever known. America is the greatest country in the world.
Hillary didn't just explode once and walk away. Oh no, she went off like a volcano that refused to stop spewing ash until everything around was covered in chaos. What began as a tiny crack in her composure erupted into a full-blown Mount Vesuvius moment, and Megyn Kelly stood there cool as ever, pointing out every plume of smoke with a smile. The first batch of secrets centered on Hillary's infamous backroom dealings, the kind of shadowy arrangements that have followed her since the 90s. Megyn, sharp as a scalpel, reminded everyone how Clinton's career has always been tangled in coincidences that somehow seem to benefit her closest allies. She mapped out timelines, money trails, and whispered connections long ignored, until Hillary's polished narrative looked like a crooked flowchart drawn by a toddler. Her reaction? Absolutely priceless. She forced that trademark half smile, the one meant to say I'm unbothered, but this time it looked more like she was trying not to sneeze during a funeral.
Okay, I raised Chelsea Clinton because her mother, Hillary, for some reason, thought it would be moving, a good idea, a good PR move for her to, on camera, read the acceptance speech she was going to give in 2016, the night she never was able to let down the balloons and the fireworks. And it's part of a masterclass, I guess, educational video on the topic of resilience. And here's a little soundbite of...
This time, that famous half smile came off as pure strain, like she was desperately holding in a sneeze at a funeral. Her eyes darted, her shoulders stiffened, and for a fleeting moment you could see it, the realization that her usual deflection routine wasn't going to work this time. Megyn wasn't buying it, and neither was the audience. So Hillary turned up the volume, wagging her finger and blaming her critics for being obsessed. It was the political version of shouting, "Why are you still talking about this?" While standing in the middle of a fire, you started yourself. Every outburst made her look more rattled, while Megyn's calm responses only made the contrast sharper. That's what made it so brilliant. Megyn didn't need theatrics. She smoothly shifted the focus to Hillary's long love affair with power, reminding everyone how she branded herself as a tireless champion for the people, while critics claimed she stepped on anyone in her way. Suddenly, stories of aides, insiders, and ex-allies resurfaced like ghosts that refused to stay buried.
Is it over? Is she done? I'm so uncomfortable.
I don't know about you, but that speech makes me, I relive that same night that Trump got elected, man. It makes me feel so good when I hear that.
I'm, the kids say cringe. It's very cringy, the whole thing. And why, of all time, right, like for 4 years and beyond, we were always saying she's like a nice woman. She never expresses emotion. She had
It was like Megyn had opened a closet, and instead of one skeleton falling out, an entire marching band of skeletons came parading through, complete with drums and trumpets. Every detail reminded the world that Hillary's career wasn't built on kindness and light, but on elbows thrown in the dark and ladders climbed over other people's backs. Hillary hated every moment of it. She squirmed, interrupted, rolled her eyes. Anything to claw back control, but control was long gone. The more she tried to downplay the accusations, the clearer it became that Megyn had struck a deep nerve. Hillary tried the old trick of calling the questions unfair or biased, claiming it was all some vendetta. But when someone's calmly listing your greatest controversies like a Spotify playlist, playing the victim doesn't exactly work. Instead, it made her look like a sore loser in a game she thought she'd already won. Megyn wasn't fazed. She brushed off the whining and kept going, methodically dismantling Hillary's carefully built image one brick at a time.
The law with that homebrew server that had been accessed by foreign agents. She compromised national intelligence information. She did things she would never have allowed anybody at the State Department to do under her. And that leaves me back to Schellenberger here. This is page 4 of his report. He writes as follows: the Russian reports, again, that the Dutch spied on, that we got our hands on, also claimed, and listen to this, I mean, you probably already know this stuff, Glenn, but claimed that Attorney General Loretta Lynch, okay, this is back in 2016, people, remember, Obama's president, Loretta Lynch is his Attorney General, and her DOJ/FBI are investigating the Hillary Clinton email scandal.
The funniest part was that Hillary just couldn't stop reacting. If she had stayed quiet, let Megyn list the accusations, and answered with cool composure, she might have saved some dignity. But no, she took every single bait. It was like watching a cat chase every laser dot until it collapses in exhaustion. The audience couldn't get enough. Each outburst became a viral clip. Every awkward look turned into a meme, and every failed spin attempt fueled late-night comedy. People weren't just laughing at the exposed secrets. They were laughing at the pure spectacle of a seasoned politician unraveling live on air. What sealed the humiliation was how perfectly Megyn tied everything together. She didn't just highlight random scandals. She painted a full picture, a pattern of behavior that showed consistency in chaos. By the end, Hillary wasn't denying isolated claims anymore. She was drowning under the weight of an entire narrative that made her look less like a leader and more like a walking cautionary tale. Then came the final explosion. Her mask shattered, the polish vanished, and what was left was raw, furious anger bursting through the cracks.
Clinton decided to drop an op-ed in the New York Times today that's entitled, "How much dumber will this get?" And she uses Signalgate and the messaging by Pete Hegseth and Mike Walls and JD Vance and Tulsi and others on there as the jumping off point to talk about how dumb the Trump administration is. Some highlights. She calls the Trump administration hypocritical, dangerous, and dumb over this story. "It's not the hypocrisy that bothers me. It's the stupidity."
Hillary leaned forward, snapped back with venom, and unleashed a tirade so intense it could peel paint off the walls. But instead of intimidating Megyn, it only proved the point. Here was a woman so tangled in her own scandals, so allergic to accountability, that even a hint of truth sent her spiraling. It wasn't power, it was panic. Megyn, cool as ice, barely blinked. She let Hillary rant, let her roar, and then calmly delivered one final cutting line that tied everything together. No shouting, no theatrics. Just a perfect mic drop moment that left Hillary looking like she'd been knocked out in round one, but still stumbling around insisting she was fine. The fallout hit instantly. Hillary had walked in ready to control the story, but ended up handing her critics the ultimate prize. Live footage of her unraveling under pressure. Megyn Kelly didn't just air out secrets. She stripped away the illusion of control that Hillary had guarded for decades. The aftermath wasn't just a bad day. It was a full-blown political migraine, and her team scrambled to spin the chaos into something that resembled dignity.
Mind though, like the air toucher, the retoucher deserves a huge raise. This is a much more soft, welcoming, friendly, I suppose, Hillary. Although again, to self-awareness, something lost, huh? I wonder what that was. Really, right. You know. The woman who wrote a book called What Happened, like marveling over all the external forces that could have caused her loss in a presidential election that was handed to her on a silver platter. And then you get into this op-ed, which again is just remarkable for what's in there. She has a paragraph in there about all the prep she did.
You can't polish a train wreck, and this was living proof. The footage was everywhere, showing Hillary unraveling while Megyn Kelly sliced through her defenses like a hot knife through butter. It was the kind of viral moment no PR team could erase. The public's reaction made it even worse. People who'd long been told Hillary was an untouchable political mastermind suddenly saw her flailing on live TV like a kid trying to explain why the dog ate their homework. Memes painted her as a human volcano, late-night hosts sharpened their jokes, and social media turned her meltdown into a never-ending digital roast. The brilliance of it all. Megyn didn't even have to shout. She simply let Hillary self-destruct. The bigger picture was brutal. This wasn't just a single bad night. It was a reminder of why she's never escaped the weight of her past. Every scandal, every questionable move, every rumor came roaring back to life. It wasn't just Megyn exposing her. It was history itself refusing to stay buried.
They banked on the intel agencies working with her to perpetuate this lie, and it appears they were only too happy to assist. That's what this scandal's about. Pieces of it we knew. New pieces are coming in by the day thanks to these declassifications, and it's downright shocking. Do not believe that there's no there. The people who are saying that are wrong. They're wrong. What just broke today, like moments before it came to air, we're still getting our arms around it, was obviously provided to Michael Schellenberger before 2 minutes ago.
The irony was almost poetic. Hillary's entire career was built on mastering narratives, yet the harder she tried to steer this one, the faster it spun out of control. Her eruption became a symbol not of power or resilience, but of someone cracking under the weight of her own secrets. By the end, the truth was crystal clear. Hillary Clinton didn't just lose her temper, she lost the last shred of her untouchable image. Megyn Kelly didn't merely reveal hidden truths. She exposed the reality that behind all the Polish and political armor, Hillary was never as bulletproof as she wanted the world to think. And that revelation, it's the kind of truth bomb that echoes long after the cameras stop rolling.